Astrology has influenced scientists throughout history. But did you know that great minds like Galileo and Newton were also interested in astrology? Stay tuned to uncover the mysterious connection between science and astrology. Chapter 1. Johannes Kepler, 1571-1630. The bridge between astrology and astronomy. Johannes Kepler is known as one of the founders of modern astronomy. However, his deep interest in astrology was at the center of his work. Kepler saw astrology and astronomy as inseparable disciplines and valued both equally. He recognized astrology as an important tool for understanding the effects of celestial bodies on humans and nature. Scientific foundations of astrology. Kepler wrote his work De Fundamentis Astrologiae Certioribus on the more precise foundations of astrology in 1601 in order to put astrology on a more solid foundation. In this work, he argued that astrology should be supported by new scientific findings in order to be applied reliably. In particular, he tried to explain the effects of the planets and stars on people with mathematical and geometric principles. Astrological predictions and prophecies. Kepler was also active in making astrological predictions. In 1595, while working as a mathematician in Graz, he accurately predicted events such as major riots, Turkish invasions, and severe cold. These predictions brought him great fame and ensured that his astrological work was taken seriously. Astrological charts and horoscopes. Kepler's interest in astrology led him to draw personal horoscopes and birth charts. More than 800 horoscopes he prepared for himself and his family have survived. These charts include personality analysis and predictions for the future. For example, the horoscope he prepared for the famous General Albrecht von Wallenstein contains sharp observations about Wallenstein's character. In this chart, Kepler stated that Wallenstein's youthful imperfections would mature over time into a nature suitable for doing important work. Critical approach to astrology. Although Kepler was interested in astrology, he criticized superstitions and unscientific practices in this field. In his 1610 work, Tertius Interveniens, he warned against the wrong practices of astrology and emphasized that superstitions in this field were incompatible with scientific thought. He argued that astrology should be practiced on scientific grounds. Isaac Newton, 1643 to 1720. His interest in astrology and research. Isaac Newton is known as a genius who laid the cornerstones of modern science with his law of gravity and the laws of motion. However, Newton's interest in astrology was part of his broad intellectual curiosity. According to some sources, Newton studied astrology in his youth and analyzed texts in this field. According to a famous anecdote, when a colleague asked him why he believed in astrology, Newton replied, "I have studied the subject, have you?" This answer reflects his curiosity about astrology and his inquisitive spirit. Astrology and scientific studies. Newton's interest in astrology parallels his interest in other esoteric and mystical subjects. He also conducted in-depth studies, especially in the fields of alchemy and theology. These studies helped him to develop a broader perspective on the functioning of the universe. His interest in astrology can be considered as part of his quest to understand the mysteries of nature. His views on the scientific value of astrology. Although he was interested in astrology, it is also noted that Newton had a critical view of this field. With the development of scientific methods, he realized that the scientific foundations of astrology were weak and directed his studies more towards the discovery of physical laws. This approach shows the importance he attached to rational thought. 3. Carl Gustav Jung, 1875 to 1961. The connection between astrology and psychology. Carl Gustav Jung, the founder of analytical psychology, is known for his work that delved deep into the human psyche. His interest in astrology is closely related to his concepts of human psychology and the collective unconscious. Jung thought that astrological symbols reflect the archetypes of the collective unconscious of humanity. Therefore, he saw astrology as a tool for understanding the inner world and psychological processes of individuals. Astrological symbols and archetypes. Jung argued that astrological symbols are the world's most powerful and oldest cross-cultural archetypes. Symbols such as Venus being associated with love and Mars being associated with war are reflections of the collective unconscious. These symbols carry similar meanings in different cultures and represent common psychological themes of humanity. The use of astrology in psychotherapy. Jung used astrology as a tool in the psychotherapeutic process. Astrological charts and symbols were helpful in revealing the unconscious contents of individuals and in psychological analysis. This approach contributed to individuals' better understanding of their inner world and personal development. Critical approach to astrology. Although Jung was interested in astrology, he approached this field from a critical point of view. He argued that astrology should be scientifically verified and therefore should be carefully and systematically examined. He saw astrology as a tool for understanding human psychology, but he was cautious about its absolute accuracy. Throughout history, some of the greatest minds were not just interested in science, but also in the unknown. Their gaze at the sky was about more than just the stars. These geniuses who sought the secrets of the universe didn't just observe the sky. They tried to understand it, to speak its language. Some looked at the stars and saw mathematics. Others looked and read destiny. But all of them knew that the sky held a secret. Perhaps the answer is not in the sky, but in the minds of those who try to understand it. Time has changed, but humanity's curiosity for the sky has never faded. This search that began centuries ago still continues today. You've watched the first part of our series on scientists who were interested in astrology, but this story doesn't end here. What did Galileo Galilei and other great thinkers believe about astrology? Stay tuned for part 2.